Very good afternoon to one and all. It is a great honor to introduce our esteemed guest, Mr. Jayant Davargaon. Sir is a senior director consulting at Cognizant. In this role, he heads the communications consulting group in the integrated communications and technology practice. He is responsible for setting up offshore consulting practice for various telecom operators across the globe. Prior to this role, Sir was delivery director responsible for offshore delivery of T-Systems telecom projects across India. T-Systems is a subsidiary of Deutsche Telekom, which is one of the largest telecom operators in continental Europe. He was leading a strong team of 1,000 plus associates working across various domains and technologies like SAP, CRM, testing, and data warehousing. Mr. Davargaon joined Cognizant in 2008 when T-Systems India, the captive unit of T-Systems, was merged in Cognizant as a result of partnership between T-Systems and Cognizant. He has done Masters in Computer Applications and Masters of Science in Statistics. He brings with him a cumulative industry experience of 24 years in the telecom industry. Prior to joining Cognizant in 2008, Sir was associated with Tech Mahindra and has played a crucial role in incubating the business process management practice from European telecom operators. He played crucial role in several accounts with his strong delivery management and business development skills. Now, I would like to invite Sir to come to stage and share with us his experiences. Sir, the podium is all yours.
Great. So, good afternoon, everyone. I think I will not take much of your time because I know this is a lunch time and it is very difficult to focus in the lunch time. So, I would try to make this session as interesting as possible, as interactive as possible. It's not a technical presentation. It is a presentation on telecom. It's a presentation on telecom analytics, which is a very, very hot topic. And analytics is not a topic which is only pertaining to telecom nowadays. It is also spanning across various industry lines. So be it Manlog, manufacturing, be it life science, healthcare, banking, finance, anything. Analytics is very, very important now. And it has become a really, really hot topic today because of two things. One is a huge amount of data is being created and how to process that data. The operators or service providers do not know how we should use this data. So these are the two big challenges that we are all facing, and we want to go through some of these slides just to see how we can address those issues. That's the whole objective. So you see, this is one of the tsunami waves. The data is actually a tsunami. Today, if you see, we are living in a purely digitized world. We use social networking, we use mobile. The way we talk, the way we communicate, the way we socialize, the way we eat, the way we think, the way we react to certain situations, everything is digitized. Everything is done through either mobile or web or internet or anything else, right? So there's a huge amount of data which is created. And if you see, from 2005 to 2020, the digital universe would have around 40,000 exabyte of data, which is 40 trillion gigabyte. This is the kind of data which is created. It essentially means that by 2020, each man, woman, and a child would have 5 terabyte of data with him. 5 terabyte of data, which means that they are going to actually process that data, they are going to view that data, not only data but the video also. 5 terabyte, that's the kind of tsunami of data which has come up now. So you must have also seen that there is a, in older days we show the photos of God and Goddess with a halo. Halo is a ring on the head, a light ring on the head. What does it signify? It signifies some special person, a special character. Okay? So in digital world also, we have a halo around us. And that halo is nothing but digital halo. Okay? Now digital halo is something which is very, very specific to a person. For example, I like to chat on the social media. I like to chat on the Twitter. Or I am a very avid follower of internet. However, all this information that I'm using is captured somewhere behind. That determines my characteristics. What do I chat? Whom do I chat with? What do I see in the internet? All those things are very important for us. And that is a halo around that person. So for example, if many people might be knowing, Barack Obama is a very strong person in the world today. He is the president of US. But he likes dogs. He likes music. He sings very well. Now, how do you know this? And this is something which is captured through various means, through website, through Twitter, through Facebook, through social medias. And that's something which is important for the industry to know. So they are capturing the sentiments, they are capturing the behavior of a customer, they are capturing the overall emotions and reactions of the customer. And that is where they are actually going back to them with a very specialized product, services, and entertainment kind of entertainment videos and photos and all those things. So if you see at the data which is growing, you can see what happens in internet in a minute. And you will be amazed to see, these are some of the slides which I have taken to tell you how the data is growing, what kind of data is being captured at the back end. So we have Google, we have 2 million searches in a minute. 6 million Facebook viewers are there. Then 47,000 applications are downloaded. All this information is stored in the server and it is just keep on growing every minute. So if you really read the line below, today the number of network devices is equal to the global population, which is almost 7 billion. There are 7 billion network devices today. And in 2015, it's going to be just doubling. So that's the kind of data which we are talking about. So it's another representation where by 2016, we are going to have 6 petabyte of data per month on these devices. So we have data mobile, data handheld, which is mobile handheld, and voice. So 6 petabyte of data every month will be generated by 2016. Same thing with the global mobile video growth. So as we are actually working with data, we are actually capturing the data, we also have the video thing. So video is also being used on the mobile, it is used on the internet, it is used on the iPad and the tablets. By 2017, we are talking about 7.4 hexabyte of data, which will be generated through mobile videos. So why is all this thing happening? Why is this so much of data is generating? The reason is that we are having a lot of new technologies which is coming up now to use the mobile devices. Earlier it was just web, it was desktop, it was simply tablets or laptops which were used, but now because the mobile video bandwidth is increasing, the usage is also increasing. So that's the reason you have a faster speed, greater access, which is resulting into greater growth. Another thing about data is that a lot of, so far we have been looking into mobile data, videos, clips, music, photos, images, but there is a lot of data which is unstructured data. So what do you mean by unstructured data? When you go to the Facebook, you will see a lot of data which is coming up. I love to work in Starbucks, All this data is you are interacting with your friends every day in, day out. And that data is extremely important for Starbucks or for McDonald's or for any of the companies. So similarly here, another example, we are saying celebrate with new McCafe Shake. So somebody, you must have gone to McDonald's, and after you celebrated your party, you must have tweeted or you might have written on the Facebook. So this data is captured by McDonald's, by Starbucks to process. So the unstructured data is also growing. The unstructured data is something which cannot be kept in the normal tables. It is not possible to keep them in a tabular format. So there is a separate method in which these unstructured data like video, images, and audio and high definition images are kept. So now what should operator do with so much data? Till yesterday, data was considered as a big problem because the storage of data was very expensive. It was very difficult to store a data. The hard disks was very limited, had a limited space. It did not have enough to contain all the data of images, videos, and all those things. There was a limitation. There was a lot of constraint in keeping the information on the hard disks. So how to use this data is a big problem for the operator today, because a lot of information which is being generated is untapped. So if you really see, only 1% of the world's data is being analyzed. So nobody analyzed that. It's just going wasted. It is just heaps of data which is created, but no insight is being created from that. So that's something there. Use of smart analytic platform is not there today. How to analyze this thing? Because if you really see, you have a limitation of analyzing certain data. It can be statistical analysis, it can be some predictive analysis, but beyond that, nothing can be done. Because data itself is so huge, it cannot be done real time. You can do some work on historical data, you can probably create some reports or dashboard, but you cannot do much more than that. And it is all historical data, so you have to extract that data and then create the reports for them, for the management. So you also need to monetize this data, because everything is going wasted today. We need to see how we can create new opportunities from data. So all the companies like Google, Microsoft, and Amazon, they are trying to see how we can use this large chunk of data and monetize that to create more opportunities from that. So in some of the cases, I can give you some examples of Comcast. Comcast is a multi-service operator. It not only gives you landline and broadband, but it also gives you cable services. Now in cable services, you must have seen when you are actually watching TV, you are very restless because it keeps on changing the channel. Now this restlessness of a customer is captured through a set-top box, and then it actually goes to the analytic report to see why the customer is so restless. Is it that something is not being showcased, or it is not of his interest, or how can we make a customer choose the right channel and stick to that channel? So that's something which is talking about measuring the viewer's restlessness. Then we are talking about correlation of usage. Who watches what? So maybe the lady at home would watch more serials, more soap operas, whereas the men would watch sports or news. So those kind of correlation has to happen. In a home, as a society, what is most viewed and how it does correlate to what is my interest area which will make me view certain channel, and what should I broadcast more in that particular home. So it has become more personalized. So you might have a channel which is so personalized that if in a home or in a community, a person has more interest in sport or in a particular event, then those things are broadcasted more. So those are the things which are talking about correlation of usage. Then there are usage on what kind of devices you use. Many people are on move, they are actually traveling, they don't stay at home, they stay in the hotel, or they stay in an area where there is not much entertainment. So they use iPad and iPhone. So they want to know how people switch from multiple devices. So I have seen people who actually use the mobile phone while on traveling, but they want to completely shift the session of what they are viewing to TV when they come home. So those kind of things are also tapped and analyzed. Then there are models of devices which are important. Some people use smartphones, some people use some tablets, some people use some extra facilities. So what kind of devices are identified? So that gives you, that data is also with the service provider. That also is captured to see which smart devices, which feature in the smart devices is much more used by the customer. So accordingly, they can create some kind of products. So where do we start? Actually, when it's a good starting point to have the reports, dashboards, and some kind of analysis on the historical data. So we have we aggregate that data. So in a database, we actually aggregate the whole thing. All different types of data are aggregated. Then you do a presentation of data. So that's in a form of a dashboard, it's on a form of a report, or any of these things. You add some more information to the data related to that customer, related to that event, or related to any of the information which will enrich the data. And then finally, you give it to the management to actually take a decision. So this is the first step, which we call as analysis stage. So we are just collecting all the historical data and putting it in a form where it can be presented well to the management, and it will be useful for the management to take a proper decision. That's the first step. So business intelligence talks about discovering what happened, what actually happened in the past, and then you actually create the reports out of that. Now, if you see business analytics, it is more from looking forward. What can happen in future? So based on the data that we have earlier, or based on the data which we can capture real time, we can analyze what can happen tomorrow. So that is the difference between analysis and analytics. So you see, when you talk about BI, reporting tool is about reading today's newspaper. We are talking about yesterday, and it is being published in today's newspaper. In analytics, you are talking about more real-time event, what can happen tomorrow. So you are publishing tomorrow's newspaper today, news and newspaper today. So that's the trend of moving to prediction. Next level, what can happen? Okay. So this chart gives you an exact situation, what exactly is analysis and analytics. So we have standard reports, what happened. Then where exactly is the problem? What actions are needed is based on the historical data. But if you go to the analytics, you will actually try to understand what exactly is happening today. What will happen tomorrow? So the what part is in the future is more from the analytics perspective. What part of the past is more from the analysis perspective. So that is the difference between analysis and analytics. And the degree of intelligence grows up as you move from analysis to analytics. That's the basic thing. So this is another representation of analysis and analytics, where you have what happened is the reporting, why did it happen is the analysis that you are doing, what is happening today is the monitoring, and what can happen tomorrow is the prediction. So I can give you an example of a typical example of a service provider, which is very I would say having a problem with the network, for example. Now, network problem is a very typical problem which we all face. Whenever we go to a point, sometimes the network drops, the call drops, and then we get irritated. Now, all this information about network drop is captured by a place called Network Operating Center. We call it NOC. Okay, so in the NOC, if you are capturing all this information, you can create reports that the network fault happened or the call dropped because of so and so reason. But that is not what customer wants. Customer wants when will the network drop next and what precautionary or preventive action you will take in order to prevent my network drop or in order to ensure that my call continues. That is very important. So that is where all this thing comes. So for example, campaign analytics is one example I can give, where you know in a particular area some events are happening, and those events are important for the service provider to monetize, and they want to actually create some campaigns. Now these campaigns are based on some historical data, what is the behavior of the customer in that particular region, and how that customer or the particular people will behave in case of the event. And based on that behavior patterns, some of the campaigns are created. Okay, so in Punjab, this particular thing happened when they actually were looking at the festival in the Holi time. They realized that the customers are more using the cell phone to actually view the Holi songs and movies in a particular time. Okay. Now this is a time when they realize that the usage of mobile phone and iPads and iPhones are highest. That time the advertising company started giving the advertisement on the mobile. So they started launching new campaigns during that time, and the response was phenomenal. The actual growth of that particular product went up to 20% during that time. So this data they would not have known unless they would have analyzed some of the real-time thing or historical data. So analysis and analytics have its own merits, whereby it helps the operator to see the behavior of a person, behavior of a customer, and at what point of time the customer would react to certain situation. So those are very important in this thing. Fraud analytics is another thing where the customer wants to actually use the telephone or a cell phone or an iPad, but the revenue is not being picked up by the operator. Now what happens because of this? There is a revenue loss and revenue drop for the operator. Now how to trap that? So the operator, for example Airtel, they have devised a mechanism where they will monitor each and every network element or call data record to capture the events which is being triggered by the customer. And these events are analyzed, and these events actually showed that there is a lot of call drops which happen. Because of that, the revenue is not captured. So in this situation, the operator immediately corrected the network station, and the revenue fraud management was completely arrested. So these kind of things are very important from the operator's point of view. How to predict a particular event, how I can predict a certain event ahead of time so that I can give the best services to the customer. So there are two areas where we have the business value in analysis and analytics. One is that you talk about business intelligence, where a lot of business analysts are required. So business analysts are those people who actually work closely with the business and the IT people and see where the synergies can be brought up. So basically when I'm talking about synergies, it means what kind of products or services which the end user wants can be captured, can be launched, can be actually devised so that the overall customer experience increases. So this is a very typical example in case of new products which comes. So take an example of Triple Play. Triple Play is a product where they want to give GSM, which is a phone, a broadband, and a video. Okay, all three things they want to give. Now, in business analysis, it is important for us to know how to devise this product. So Triple Play was devised when they actually realized that a lot of people are not interested in only buying video or only buying mobile or only buying landline. They want all three together because they can use it effectively. So today when we are at home, we buy cable. Cable has got telephone line, cable has got the Wi-Fi, and all these three together becomes a product. And these products are sold to the customer. So this is where the business analyst comes into picture, where they actually understand what is the business need, understand what the customer wants based on the historical data, and then they try to devise and help the management to come up with the new products and services for the customer. That's very important from the business intelligence perspective. The data science is a very different term together. It's a new term which has been launched about 2 years ago. The data scientist is a person who is actually understanding the data, creating statistical models, analyzing those statistical models, and then predicting to the management saying that these events might occur during such situation. So we need to be prepared. So for example, if you are looking for some event which is going to happen, for example, in Germany, Deutsche Telekom launched a very different product called Understanding Football. It was basically for people who don't understand football at all. So that product was launched as an application onto the mobile. It happened when the World Cup match was held in Germany some 2 years ago, or 3 years ago. And it was an instant success because that application actually gave all the people who did not understand football an opportunity to know about the game, about their teams, about the statistics of the team. So entire thing was at one place. So an application is also a product for the customer. So it was launched there. And whoever downloaded that product was given a voucher so that they can actually get some discount. So this is also another part of a campaign or an advertising for the operator to monetize this thing. So how did it all happen? They actually went back to the earlier football, World Cup football matches, and they collected all the data. And they realized that some of these people who come to watch, they don't understand football at all. So why not we create some kind of an application which will help them understand football game much better way. And in order to promote that, they also gave some kind of incentive, some kind of a voucher, so that people get attracted towards that. So this is what the data scientist's job is. So it actually deep dives into the data and try to see what best can we derive from it and give it to the management to take a proper action. Okay. So this is some of the examples which I have just given for your references about how much network usage should be expected in future. This is a typical data scientist job. So basically, I know that ahead of time, I'm going to have an event, maybe a cricket World Cup or a football World Cup, and a lot of people are going to use my mobile, iPad, web, everything. So definitely there would be a network outage. Definitely there will be a network congestion. How do I avoid that? And how many people can actually access the network is something that we need to understand and derive from the data. And this is the most powerful thing about data, how it actually gives you an insight to the business. And that insight is very important. So that's where we talk about how much network usage could be expected in future, how much network capacity needs to be augmented. So how do I know how much network should be there? Today, there is a problem in Airtel and Vodafone where we are having a network outage almost every 2 minutes. Every 2 minutes there is an outage. The reason is that they have the cell site information, they have the entire cell network, but today there is no mechanism by telling the management or the network operating center that network will be out, the network will be critical at this point of time, or network will not work at this point of time. So this makes us vulnerable to the call drops and all those things, and we call back again and get irritated. So overall customer experience goes down. So those are the things which we have to augment in advance. Then we have various other things. What should be the contract strategy for new product? What should be the customer potential acquisition? What kind of customers I should actually acquire in future? So there is a customer lifecycle management in every operator. When you acquire a customer, then you give the services to the customer, and then the customer actually either looks for some other operator, or it wants something new from the same operator, same value-added services they want, or it will exit from the customer and joins a new operator. So this is a peculiar life cycle of a customer. Now in this particular thing, it is very important to understand when will that customer go out of my, go out of that operator. For example, Vodafone churn ratio is very high. They know that some people are coming in, there is a very good acquisition for them, but at the same time the churn is very high. So they are not able to understand why this churn is high. So similar kind of exercise was done by BT and Vodafone, and I'm not talking about Vodafone India, I'm talking about Vodafone UK and Vodafone Germany, where they tried to understand that people with a very good service also tend to churn, because there is no excitement in being there. They are just getting a service, they are getting a good service, no call drop, absolutely seamless thing, but they are not getting anything new. If you go to the other operators, they are giving some discounts, they are giving some good packages, they are giving some new additional features in these free of cost, which has not been done. That time Vodafone realized that churn doesn't happen all the time when there is a good service. It can also happen when the person gets bored. Oh, it's a normal thing, there's no problem. So I was staying in Mumbai in Ibis Hotel, and it was almost for 3 months I stayed continuously. And I was getting very good service, no problem at all. But then Ibis realized that 3 months this guy is here, and we have not given any kind of additional promotional thing to him, probably he may leave. So that is a prediction that they did. And with that prediction, just after 3 months, they started giving me all kind of facilities, free of cost. And that is something which is the importance of the data that they have captured, the data that they have analyzed, which is important. Now take another example of network. I am going from a place A to place B. For example, in JM Road I am going, and suddenly the network which I am passing through, I know that the operator would know that this guy likes McDonald's. The moment I pass by JM Road and McDonald's, immediately a voucher will come to my mobile saying that 200 meters from here there is a McDonald's, please use this voucher and go there. So naturally I am interested. I am actually provoked to go to the McDonald's or any other shop. So these are certain things which happen real time. And this is where the operators are saying that we should not just store the data, but we should actually use them real time. And this real time analysis is something which is very important from the data analytics and business analytics perspective. So now coming to big data, there is a lot of hype about big data. Everyone talks about big data and nobody talks about small data. Everything is big. You know, why it is big, we saw what kind of explosion is there in data. We actually saw the tsunami of data coming in and how we can use that. So big data has got three characteristics, predominantly three characteristics. One is volume, where we have to really make sense of the terabytes of data that we have stored. Operator has to make sense of that. Okay, so how to analyze that data is most important. Then second thing is variety. Variety is where the data is coming from. It can come from machine to machine, it can come from Facebook, it can come from Twitter, it can come from anywhere. So that's, or internet from anywhere. So that's the variety. It comes from many forms. It can be structured data, it can be unstructured data, it can be any form of data. Then there is a velocity. Velocity is what frequency it is coming from. So basically it is coming from web, it is coming from ATM, it is coming from machine to machine. Internet of Things, as you must have heard, is all the devices today are connected. Almost all are connected. So when you go to a shop or mall, you must have seen the RFID card reader. Okay, in the point of sale, the RFID is scanned and the prices and the description of a product comes. That RFID data is also stored. That also gives you a kind of behavioral pattern of the particular customer. What kind of products that person is buying at particular day. It might happen that on Sunday, a person buys something different than on Monday to Friday. So all that is captured here. So that is called velocity, how frequently the data is coming, from which machine it is coming from. Then there is a fourth one which has been derived very recently called veracity. So veracity is something very difficult to understand in the sense that it is an ambiguous data which operator feel he doesn't understand where it comes from. So there are a lot of data which is captured which doesn't make sense at all. It is ambiguous data. And that is why they have come up with a different characteristics of big data called ambiguous data or data with uncertainty. They don't know it at all. So when you talk about big data platforms who actually process these kind of data, they are talking about these four parameters or four characteristics. And this is what big data all about. So if you see the definition, particular definition which is a standard definition so far, it is about analyzing large volume, variety and velocity of data to discover buried patterns and hidden correlation and other useful information. So what kind of patterns you can see from a different usage of the customer is something which is important. So as I said, a customer might go to a mall and on a particular weekend he would buy some shirts or some particular item. On same person might buy something else in some other day. Now these patterns of the customer behavior is something that we need to capture. And that is where we talk about transaction, interaction and observation. All three of them combined becomes a big data. That's the concept that we are talking about. Okay. So if you really see on the bigger box, the outer box, we have GPS coordination. So something that we are using the local GPRS, for example, location-based softwares. We are talking about satellite communication. We talk about the speech to text. This is also another important thing which is coming up now. Speech to text is something which is a big data which is being captured. Today, the people who go around the world, they don't know the language. The language is the most important part. So the Japanese might not understand English, or Japanese might not understand German. So all this information which is speech to text is also captured. And it becomes a very, very important data for the operators because they analyze the people's behavior worldwide, not in a particular region, but across the geographies. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So this is a very important diagram, how big data actually makes sense to us. See, big data, if you really see in typical business intelligence case or an analysis case, what happens is you have something called data latency. Latency is something called delay. Okay. So data latency means what? It means that we are actually having a delay in storing the data, aggregating the data, analyzing the data, and actually correlating the data. So that is the complete data latency which is there. Then the data is captured at that point. At this point the data is captured. Then after you store all the data, you start analyzing the data. So when you do an analyzing the data, there is the analytic latency. That means you take some time to analyze that data and to make sense out of that, to create reports from that, and dashboards and reports is given to the management. And at this point of time, there is a decision which is taken. So there is a decision latency, because once all the reports and data is passed on to the management, it takes their own time to actually take a decision on that particular data. So if you really see, this is a value. If there is an opportunity over here, is a value which is lost because of the latency. And that is where the big data comes into picture. So what happens in big data is that there are products and platforms in the market which talks about in-memory process. The in-memory process is where you can take the data real time to the platform and do the analysis in memory. You don't have to really store it anywhere. It is directly coming to the memory, analyze, and then send to the management. So for example, in case of network, particularly this is useful for network, because the network data is a huge data. And when the network data comes into the big data platform, it actually do a complete analysis of data in the memory. It doesn't store anywhere. It gets the analysis and gives the reports, and the reports are stored. The continuous streaming is happening of the network data in the analytic platform. And that is the biggest advantage here that we have. So we want to reduce this particular lost opportunity, because it should not be too late to take an action. So if I want to say, in an example where I was going to JM Road and I want to have an advertisement or a coupon or a particular product or a concession or discount, I need to have this data processed on a real time. I cannot just store that data and then see where I am and then I will get that coupon. It doesn't make sense at all. So while I am traveling or while I am in motion, I must be getting that information immediately and then and there only. So that is the most important part of big data. So typically business fail to react in real time to events which impact them. That's the main question. So some of these slides I'm skipping. I was talking about the in-memory analysis platform. Some of these platforms which have been recently created is SAP HANA. SAP HANA is one of the most important and critical systems which has been created by SAP. It's a huge database which has the in-memory processor. And all the German market today is based on SAP HANA. The entire network of Deutsche Telekom is passed through SAP HANA. And it is in-memory process, and given the reports are given and dashboards are given to the management. That's the most important thing. Similarly, for HP Vertica and Teradata are another important in-memory applications. So in-memory application is something which is the critical to big data. If we understand that how it works, then it actually is useful. Another important thing about in-memory is that it actually creates a report of unstructured data, which is the critical thing for today. 90% of the data that we are creating today through mobile and other devices are unstructured. It is video, images, photos, all kind of things. Even the Facebooks and Twitter fall under unstructured data. And that data is processed in memory analysis, which is the most important thing of big data. Okay. Now I am coming to the point where we have some use cases. Some of the use cases that we have worked in for the key elements, which is customer, product, company, employee, and supplier. These are the 5 most important elements of any operator of telecom. Okay. So what does customer do? It does the consumption of product, billing, customer care, interaction of social media, behavioral patterns. All those data is collected here. So this right hand side gives you a complete view of what kind of data is collected when the customer interacts with the other person or with the machine or talks on the mobile. So if you see, the company is more interested in network topography because they want to lay down the network. They want to make sure that customer gets the seamless service through the network. Similarly, for employees, there are some people who work in the field. They have to work in the field to give the services to the customer. They go to the customer premises, they go to the cell towers and all those things. They have to actually, they are also collecting a lot of data. And that data is very useful for the management to ensure that the customers, the employees are doing the right thing. Their productivity is good. For example, in a building, if you have this BITM building and you have asked for some services to be installed. Now there are 3-4 services which are to be installed here. Ideally only one person should come and install it. But if you don't have the particular data in place, or if you don't have the right kind of management in place, then you might have 3 people coming over here and doing the installation of the same thing. So such kind of things are important from the field perspective because that reduces the overall operation cost. So typical use cases where you have we have these value drivers called customer experience, network quality, which is most important, and customer experience is another important factor, and reduction of operation cost is another important factor. So how do you actually, so what we do normally in typical system integrator space, we actually start talking to the business team and understand what does the customer want. We understand that we take the data, we analyze that data, and we try to understand what is the customer pattern, what does the customer want, how the customer has behaved in a particular situation, and then try to see how best we can predict or enhance the insight. The insight enhancement is the most important thing for us, and we need people who actually can do this kind of an insight, who can create this kind of an insight. Okay, so for example, if you have some problem on the cell and you are calling the customer care will take all the details, they will store the details, but next time when you call, they should be able to give you a personalized services, and that personalized services is something which is enhancing the insight. So you are having a rule-based customer care. So you already have the data of that customer because he or she has called the customer care, and we need to actually see how we can enrich that, what kind of questions they have asked, what kind of issues they have gathered, how that particular problem was resolved, and then next time when you call at all, then you should be able to get the personalized services. That is exactly what is rule-based customer care. Similarly, personalized interaction in assisted care is also one of the important point when we do a prediction of the data. So basically it means that it's not always about the retail customer, it is always about the wholesale customers who are big companies, and they are the people who actually handle large amount of data, large amount of volume, and that is where they want, say for example, Cognizant as a customer would get a personalized interaction and assisted care based on the kind of issues, based the kind of queries, based kind of requirements that they have. So all these things What kind of personalized care can the operator give Cognizant is depending on the information they have stored, information that they have gathered and analyzed. So that's something which we talk about applying the insight. So we have a data, you apply the insight that this is what Cognizant might need because they are such a company, they have such and such problem, such and such products and services. So that insight is applied. Same thing with the network also. So there is a very important part in real-time customer offload management. So when you call about offload management, today when, in 4G and LTE environment, a lot of customers know that there is going to be some network outage. There is going to be some break in the call. In such cases, if you know the customer, if the customer is a very important customer for you, he or she is a very valued customer or very high volume customer, then you can do some kind of a real-time analysis saying that if that person has a network outage at a particular time, can we offload that person to Wi-Fi? So when it offload to Wi-Fi, it means that the service will continue as usual. There will not be any break in services. Today what is happening is that when we are going from one place to the other place, there is a 90% chance that the call will drop. Okay? But if I am a very important customer or if I am a very valued customer for the operator knows from the real time that this person is actually on the call and the network should not break. And immediately I will offload that person to Wi-Fi. So that's a very important part called offload management, which is being done in a lot of Western operators, including AT&T, Verizon, Comcast, and it is now being implemented in Reliance Jio for 4G LTE. So we are actually working on that, how we can do the offload management. It's a very, very important factor for that. Then we are talking about early and proactive detection of faults. So this is something similar to what I said. The network fault is not just on the call. It can happen at the cell site. It can happen on the tower. And if that tower is faulty, and if the cell is not interacting with the other cell, then your call cannot be completed. So your call has disturbances. Your call has very noisy voices and all those things. So all those things is not related to the person or the service provider. It is related to the actual network towers and network cell site. So that cell site information also needs to be captured in order to see how best we can give the services to the customer. Then we talk about the congestion management. So this is basically the most important part of the operator today, network quality. Based on the network quality, we have the customer experience, better customer services. So you see how it is related. Customer experience is related to not only operator giving new products and services to the customer, but it also relates to the network quality. If you have a better network quality, the customer would be happy and it would have a seamless services. Now, how do we grow the revenue? Because just having phone or just viewing the video and photos and all those things will not help. There has to be some growth in for the operator. Operators today has become just dumb pipes, dumb network, because they are not utilizing their network properly. They are not utilizing their data properly. All the business has been captured by somebody called over-the-top player like Google, Microsoft, Facebook. They are all captured the market. So what the operators are doing? They are doing nothing. They are just passing the network, the data through their network, but they are not monetizing that. So there has to be some growth for the operator. How will the operator grow now? It's a big challenge for them. So that is why we have to do an intelligent advertising based on the browsing history, based on the subscriber history. So what is the subscriber? What kind of subscriber it is? What are the demographics of the subscriber? There is a lot of parameters which are there, which have been analyzed so far. And it is analyzed on a real-time basis so that the operator knows what kind of subscriber that person is, what kind of services and products can we give him at that point of time, and how the subscriber will continue to be loyal to that operator. And that is how the growth will happen. Otherwise, there will be always a problem of growth of revenue, because that is one of the primary parameters for operator for to remain in the business. Okay. So these are some of the, probably I will share this slide deck with you. You can also go through this. It's a very interesting use cases that we have implemented for some of the customers like AT&T. There is a Dutch operator called KPN. Then we have Comcast, which is a cable operator in US. Then Reliance Jio, we are using these use cases. Their use cases is to, this is the real-time problems which all these operators face. And they asked us, how can we actually make sure that our customer experience and the network quality is one of the best? And can you help us analyzing these areas so that we will be able to create a right or take a right decision and create new products and services for the customer so that customer is loyal to us. Because one of the main things that they are all facing is the churn. It's not here, it's I think the next slide. No, I think we have not covered that here. But churn is one of the most important concern of the operator. People leave the operator, go to some other operators by keeping the same number, because nowadays it's very easy for them that because of the number portability, you can still use the same number and go to the other operator. So it has become all the more reason for the operator to ensure that they keep the customer happy and have the maximum good customer experience. So for those things, we actually do a lot of predictive analysis for the customer so that the management can take a right decision. So some of these are early proactive detection of fault. This is most important part. Then real-time customer offload management, value-based congestion. All these things have been implemented in some of the operators, and they have really got the benefits of these reports and these prediction. Their customer experience grew from 5% to 15%, and their growth also increased from 20% to 35%. That was the kind of analysis we did, and they really benefited out of it. Then intelligent advertising based on the browsing history. So when you are actually, I recently was in Australia where we were looking for some of the hotels, and whenever I go to a site, a pop-up window comes in. There are some good places in Australia where you can stay, or there are some good point of interest or places of interest in Australia where you can visit. So they are capturing my web history, they are capturing my interest areas, and depending on that they are showing the advertisement pop-ups not only on my web but also on my mobile, and giving me discount, giving me promotional offers which I can use in a later point of time. So this is important, intelligent advertising based on the browsing history. So how can you make a difference? So this is my last slide. After that we can take a question answers break. So how can you make a difference? So one of the things which today I am struggling, and that's the reason I wanted to interact with all of you, is we are having a severe crunch of people who can do business analysis or data analysis. And that's one of the main important requirements from the various operators to us. Can you give us good business analysts or data analysts who can actually make a difference, who can implement the analytics platform who can talk to the business team and the IT team and create some kind of reports, some kind of requirements who would be implemented in the systems. And this is where I feel I will share some important points with you. The business analysts are the people who actually work very closely with business. There are 4 or 5 important departments in the business. One is the customer care, other is the products, third is networks, fourth is billing, and fifth is the enterprise. Enterprise is actually support function, the financial, the fraud management, the revenue management, and all those things. The products are the people who actually launch new products to the customer side. They do marketing campaigns, they do product launches, they actually create some good advertising services, coupons, and all those things. Customer care are the people who actually talk to the people, talk to various customers to understand their problem, give new services, they just resolve their issues, queries, problems, everything. Billing is something very important because in the prepaid scenario, billing almost happens real time because there is no payment to be done. You already paid them. You have already paid the operator. All that you are doing is using it. So how my usage pattern is, how am I using the prepaid phone, how am I using the postpaid phone, all these things are to be analyzed. And we need to come up with a reasonable set of parameters and decision points on how we can give the best to the customers. For example, a prepaid user there are some a head of the family has a postpaid card and they have 2 children and both the children need to have a prepaid card because the head of the family feels we should not give postpaid to children because they will misuse it. So they want to have a decision of 20 rupees or 100 rupees or 20 rupees or whatever money. There is a limit of that needs to be put in that prepaid card. Okay. Now these products and services needs to be configured in the systems. How will I configure in the system? I need to first know what is the requirement of the customer. How does the products actually interface? Because there are two products now. One is the postpaid product, one is the prepaid product. They need to be linked together. And this linking is to be done through business processes. And these business processes are to be understood by business analysts. And that's the most important thing. And this is where you don't need any technology. All you have to need to know is what is the prepaid business, how the postpaid business works, how prepaid business works, how can we link the two products to make a composite product. So you have to talk to business team to understand that. Similarly, you talk to the network team to understand how the network congestion happens, what kind of problems can come in network, how can we resolve that network problem. So this is more to do with the processes of network. How the call starts, how the call data records are captured, how it is actually cleaned, and how it is passed to the billing system. All these end-to-end processes needs to be understood. And for that we need business analysts who actually can work with the business team, who can work with the IT team and create a set of requirements to ensure that these analytical reports can be created effectively. Because it is not about creating reports as a dashboard. It is not about creating pie charts and graphs and bar charts. It is about correlating that thing. How a network can be correlated with customer experience, how customer can be related to the product, how customers' behavior impacts the overall growth of the organization. All these things have to be created, has to be designed, has to be captured in a proper way, so that the IT team will actually do the entire system implementation and it will go as a decision support system to the management. So this is the most important thing of the business analyst. The second thing is about the data analysts. Now, data analysts and business analysts sometimes get confused because we think that the data analysts do the same job as business analysts. because they also interact with the business. They also interact with the IT teams. So what is the difference? The difference is that data analysts are predominantly focusing on the data. They create the statistical models, they create the predictive models, and they actually try to improve on that. And the results and reports that is created is actually based on the models that they have designed, and those models goes to the business analyst team who actually do a kind of verification with the business team and see that this is exactly what business wants. If they don't want this particular, if the report shows that this is not what the business wants, then they will have to go back to the data analyst and say that your model is not correct. Your statistical model or your predictive model needs to be upgraded or updated so that we get a right kind of reports, right kind of decision points. So these are something which are important. So data scientist is a very, very crucial role which has been created today. And we, particularly system integrator, maybe Infosys, Wipro, Cognizant, TCS, all of us are in a dire need of data analysis. And why I am talking all this thing to you, because telecom management is the area where business analysts and data analysts has tremendous scope. It is not related to the technology, it is related to more business processes, it is related to more models and statistical models, statistical analysis, which you guys always do, and that's something which is very, very useful for the layer which is completely missing today in our companies. We are all working in as a programmer, coder, tester, all those things are there. But somebody who understands the business and who can bridge the gap between business and IT is completely missing. So that's something which you can make a difference here. And this is the role which probably you can think of in future. It's an extremely promising role because business analyst, big data, data analyst is today a big hype. Nobody knows anything much about it. Everybody is talking about it. But how and what exactly is done in the organization is still at a very, very premature stage. It is not matured enough to, to a level where people can definitely get the benefits out of that. So it is maturing slowly. I think a lot of companies in Germany, UK, and North America have really come up with good models, good processes, good systems, but still it is in the primitive stage. And I would say in next 5 to 10 years, it's going to be a big business. So I'll stop here.